There are many serious misconceptions on the part of the world concerning the church. There's a great deal about the church that from the world's perspective is radically different than what the Scriptures actually teach about the church. One of the most severe misconceptions, and the misconception that we're going to talk about in this lesson, is the misconception that if a person is a believer in Christ, they are one of two kinds of believers in Christ. Right? There's a difference between believers according to the worldly perspective, and all believers in Christ, according to the world's perspective, and many in either of these groups' perspective. There is the perception that all believers in Christ are either Catholic or Protestant. That if you believe in Christ, you're one or the other. You're either a Catholic believer in Christ, or you are a Protestant believer in Christ. Right? It's kind of like how the Jews talked about Jew and Gentile, right? You were either a Jew or you were a Gentile. If you weren't a Jew, you were a Gentile, right? If you were a Gentile, you weren't a Jew. And the entire population of the world, to the Jews, was broken down in those two categories, Jew and Gentile. Well, this misconception about the church has kind of that same view, right? If you're not a Catholic, you're a Protestant, right? And that is supposedly the only two categories of, the way they would say it, Christians. The way we've got it termed for the sake of this lesson is believers in Christ. Those who claim some form of belief in Christ are considered to be either Catholic or Protestant. We have made the point very strongly and loudly and worldwidely, if we can say it that way. We have put it out so that it is common knowledge information about the Church of Christ, LaGrange, Northside congregation, that we are not Catholic, neither are we Protestant. See, the world has those two pigeonholes that they believe all Christians fit into, either Catholic or Protestant. But what we try to educate the world about, right, as Paul said, was the eternal purpose God had for the church to make known the manifold wisdom of God to the world. We endeavor to make known to the world that there is something other, something different, something that is not Catholic, and that is not Protestant, and that is original New Testament Christianity. Right? Original New Testament Christianity predates Catholicism. And original New Testament Christianity, if it predates Catholicism, and it does, then it predates Protestantism by about 1,500 years. Because Protestantism didn't come along until the mid-16th century. And we are neither one of those. Our endeavor is to follow original New Testament Christianity. And that is neither Catholic nor Protestant. It is just Christianity. New Testament Christianity. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, before we get into the further discussion of this lesson, I want to turn that around so I can see it. and, and I want to offer a disclaimer. And here's the disclaimer. By saying that the Church of Christ is neither Catholic nor Protestant, we're not attempting to impugn the character of any Catholics or Protestants. We are not at all saying that Catholics and Protestants are not good people, are not moral people, kind people, generous people, are not the kind of people you would want for your neighbors and friends. I know many very sincere, devout, zealous adherents to Catholicism and adherents to Protestantism. Whatever Protestant denomination they identify with, they are sincere about it. So, as we talk about New Testament Christianity and the difference between New Testament Christianity and Catholicism, or the difference between New Testament Christianity and Protestantism, we're not saying anything about the character of Catholics or Protestants. I have known many, and the majority of them have been good, decent, moral, upright people. But that's not the same thing as saying that they are New Testament Christians. The Bible is very specific about what a Christian is, how to become a Christian, how to function as a Christian. And when you compare that to Catholicism, it's not the same thing. When you compare it to Protestantism, it's not the same thing. And so, while we recognize that Catholics and Protestants are wonderful, wonderful people, that in general has the concepts of biblical morality, pretty well in place. Catholics, for the most part, are good moral people. Now, I know they drink, and there's some pretty severe corruptions in the priesthood. They've been charged with some pretty gross stuff, but that doesn't impugn the character of all Catholics, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with their character, their morality. It has to do with whether or not Catholicism and Protestantism are accurate representations of New Testament Christianity. And they are not. So, Catholicism and Protestantism and New Testament Christianity are three different things. They're not the same thing. Just like no Catholic would say that the Church of England is just as good as the Catholic Church. No Catholic would say that, right? Because they believe in Catholicism. No Episcopalian would say that Catholicism is just as good as Episcopalianism, if that's the way to say it. I don't know if that's the right way to say Episcopalianism or not, but you know what I mean. Right? People identify with their group, and they say that, they're sincere about it, that is the right group to be a part of. But when you look at actual New Testament Christianity as it is taught in the New Testament, it's not the same thing. So there is something other than Catholic and Protestant, and that is just New Testament Christianity. That's what we are. We are just New Testament Christians. Nothing more, nothing less. There's no hyphenated name that needs to be added to that. I'm not a Catholic Christian or a Protestant Christian or a Pentecostal Christian or a Presbyterian Christian or a Baptist Christian or a Methodist Christian. No, I'm just a Christian. You can't put a hyphenated name on what I am because you can't find that in the New Testament, and I am just what the New Testament says to be. That's what we really what we're all striving to be, right? And so we want to put that disclaimer out there. We're not saying that Catholics and Protestants aren't kind, generous, loving people, good neighbors, good friends. We're simply saying there's a huge difference between New Testament Christianity and what is practiced by Catholics and Protestants.